Welcome to Global Mission Child Teens International Broadcasts with Dr. Raymond.
Hello, good day. My name is Raymond. I'm the president of Global Mission Child and Teens International, and today I will be talking about the impact of child naming on parenting. Now, we have been on our series Fundamentals of Parenting, and I can tell you it has been explosive. I want to encourage you to get those series and get yourself improved. And today, by way of introduction, I will be defining what a name is. Now, a name is actually a means of identification. And the Oxford Standard Dictionary defines a name as words by which a thing or a place or an entity or a person is known. Now, the ideology and culture of naming varies from place to place. But there is an underlying factor or a denominator in naming, and that is the import of the name, the meaning which the name bears. Now, there are many reasons why people give their children certain names, and I'm going to be mentioning a few of them. Number one is naming by revelation. Some people get names by divine revelation. Example in the scripture are people like John, whose name was revealed to his father. Another person we see is somebody like Jesus, whose name was revealed to his mother. The next reason for naming is naming by circumstances surrounding the birth or pregnancy of the child. Example of such people we see in the Bible are people like Rachel, who gave birth to Benjamin. At the point of death, she named him Benoni. Benoni means the son of my sorrow. But his father refuted the name and gave him the name Benjamin. Now imagine what his experience would have been if he had gone by the name Benoni. The next person is Ichabod. His mother gave birth to him at a point when Israel was experiencing massive defeats. And she named him Ichabod, meaning the glory has departed. Only God knows what his experience was. The next person is Jabez. Jabez is a person whose life had a direct link with his name. His mother gave birth to him in pains, and she named him Jabez. And he was described as a honorable man, but there was nothing honorable about his life because of his name. The next reason why people give their children certain names is naming by tradition and culture. Certain traditions and cultures have laid down procedures for naming a child. And in some nations or some countries, there are names you give to a child, you get prosecuted. Now we see the case of John the Baptist in the Bible. It was said that his mother and others, his relations, wanted to give him the name Zacharias according to the laid down Jewish culture at that point in time. But when the beacon of the father, who was dumb, he called for a plate and he wrote the name of the child, John, and people were surprised. They were amazed because that was contrary to the tradition of the day. Another reason why people name their children is naming by likeness. Some parents just like a certain name and they just want to name their children that name. There's nothing bad about that, so long as the name is meaningful. The next reason is some parents give their children names casually, which is called casual naming. No meaning, no relation, no correlation, no intention, just a name. They just want to give the child that name. And the last reason why people give their children name is naming as a memorial. Some parents give their children the name of a place they visited, or the name of somebody they once encountered who was nice to them. Some give their children the name of their ex. Maybe they had a wonderful time together, wonderful memories, and the only way they can mummify that experience is by transferring the name of that person to their children. And so they name their children as a memorial to keep the memories fresh in their hearts. I have no problem with that. But the most important factor in all these reasons is the meaning of the name. What is the intention for naming the child? Now let's look at some mysteries of child naming that will help us to understand why we are actually discussing this topic. The first mystery of naming is the mystery of words. Words are creative, words are powerful, words are transforming. And words are spoken through the tongue. And the tongue has been said, according to the scriptures, that the power of life and death lies in the tongue. By the words of your mouth you are ensnared. By the words of your mouth you are delivered. The tongue is described as a rudder that turns the entire course of a ship. The tongue is described as a flame that sets the forest ablaze. And the tongue carries words. And every name, according to the Oxford Dictionary, contains words. And each time you call a name, you reaffirm the words. You send the words into action. Now let's look at the life of Adam and the animals which he named. Every single animal which Adam, the first man, called the animal was a name which they went by. And the moment they took on those names, they assumed the character of the name by which they bore. The goat began to behave like a goat. The lion began to behave like a lion. That's the same thing that happens when you call your children certain names. They assume the character of the names which you have called them. That is the mystery of words. It transforms the person into the character which it contains. If you call your child wisdom, it's most likely he's going to be wise. If you call your child great, it's most likely he's going to be great. That is the mystery of words. You are a constitution of all the words you have been hearing all your lifetime. So do not joke with the power of words. Your child name is a constitution of words. And it must be meaningful and impactful. The next mystery is a mystery of prophecy. Every word is a prophecy, and every name is a prophecy, because every name contains words. So we must be intentional, because we are actually prophesying into the life of our children when we call them their names. And you know what? We call those names multitude of times daily. And you can imagine the number of times you call it in a year. Now imagine you were praying, because prayer are actually words directed either to heaven or to man. Imagine you're calling your name every single day by a meaningful and impactful name. Imagine the number of times you must have prayed for him. Imagine also the number of times you must have prophesied into his life. Now the next is the mystery of the blessing. Every name carries a blessing. The greatest way you can bless your child is by calling him a good name. I'll give you an example of a man called Jacob. Jacob was a man who fought his way through everything he earned in life. One time he got fed up with the situations and circumstances around his life, and he cried out to God. And he said, "Oh God, bless me." And God said to him, "The blessing I'm going to give you is a change of name." And God changed his name from Jacob to Israel. And from that moment onwards, his life changed. So, this is actually very, very key, because the name your child bears actually determines how blessed he's going to be. That is the mystery of the blessing. Now let's consider some individuals whose names impacted their lives and their future. Number one example is Abraham. Abraham was initially called Abram. His wife was initially called Sarai, and then later on it was changed to Sarah by God. When God encountered him, God told him, "I'm not going to do anything meaningful with you despite your age until I change your name." And his name was changed from Abram, meaning the exalted father, into Abraham, meaning the father of many nations. And from that moment onwards, his life took a different turn. And to today, he's called the father of faith and the friend of God. The next person we're going to be considering is Jacob. Jacob means a cheat, a swindler. And he swindled his brother and took his birthright from him. And when he got to his uncle's house, Laban, it was recorded that after 21 years, his uncle had cheated him over 10 times. And that was simply because his name followed him on. And if not for God's intervention, he would have left the house of Laban empty-handed because of his name. And when he cried out to God, God changed his name to Israel. Now the next person we're going to be looking at is Noah. Noah means relief, and in his time, God was grieved with the entire human race, and God wanted to destroy the entire human race. And Noah was born at that time. And Noah built an ark and saved his entire household. He was the only one that was spared. And I can tell you that it had a direct link with his name. And God said, God granted relief to that generation. God granted relief to the earth because a man was called by the name relief. The next person is Esther. Esther means favor, and she obtained favor in the sight of the king. And the very last example I'm going to mention is Jesus, the Savior of the world. Jesus means Messiah, Savior, and he saved man from sin and eternal damnation. Now, I'm also going to mention a few other people whose names impacted their lives negatively. Number one is Jabez. You're aware of that. I've mentioned that earlier. The next person is Ichabod. We didn't hear of what happened to him, but his name carried an import of negative situations. What would you rather call your child? What name would you rather call your child? Does it really carry a blessing or a curse? I want you to ponder in a minute. The name your child goes by, will it really produce a blessing in his life? Will it really create a path for him in the future? I'll round off with this story. There is a certain lady I worked with in a certain place, and there were other female colleagues of hers, and the kind of work we did was the kind of work where the people you actually attended to would like to show appreciation for what you did for them. And I noticed times without number that they kept favoring her and they kept showing tokens of appreciation to her and leaving other people off. And one day I pondered and I said to myself, the only reason why people are actually favoring this girl is simply because her name means favor, or her name is Favor. And at that point I realized that the name one goes by actually determines how far and how well it travels in life. I hope this was enlightening and insightful. See you in our next episode, where I will be talking about the myths of child education. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.